How do you sort out the so-called jargon from real-world practices that work? Do the members of your organization find some business or technology advice utterly confusing? Welcome to Real Talk with Sam Holcman. In this program, we set the record straight, and in terms that business people and technology people can understand. Now, here is your host, Sam Holcman.
Welcome to this edition of Real Talk. This is Sam Holcman. Thank you for tuning in. The topic for today's broadcast is enterprise architecture, business architecture. What are the similarities and what are the differences? In order to do this, we first need to understand and define the common term on both of these. And of course, that common term is architecture. So let's begin with the definition of architecture, and then we'll look at the phrase word before that, enterprise and business. So what is architecture? Architecture in those cases are the explicit representations of the desired state and the as-is state. Let's begin with that. Enterprise architecture, business architecture, using the term architecture, is explicitly representing a desired state and an as-is state of something. From that, we are going to develop a set of prioritized, aligned initiatives or capabilities needed to meet the organizational goals. So far, architecture is explicitly representing a desired state and an as-is state. From that, developing a set of prioritized, aligned initiatives or capabilities needed to meet the organizational goals. Continuing on. Once we have that, we need to communicate that understanding to stakeholders. This is a key element here, to stakeholders. And there are an incredible number of parameters that you and I have to think about to make these understandings, as we like to call them, human consumable. Objective of this is to advance the organization and its stakeholders from its as-is state to its desired state. So once again, architecture is explicitly representing a desired state and an as-is state, developing a set of prioritized, aligned initiatives or capabilities needed to meet the organizational goals, communicating this understanding to stakeholders to advance the organization from its as-is state to its desired state. After our short break, we'll then add the phrase business and the phrase enterprise in front of the word architecture and define those. Just a short break.
Do you feel lost when you leave an enterprise or business architecture certification class? Are you overwhelmed by the 900-page manuals of techniques, models, and approaches that do not provide you with a clear path? Do you find that your class was actually designed to help you pass an exam rather than actually developing architecture? If you answered yes to one or more of these questions, then you might be a long-time sufferer of certification examitis, and you're not alone. In our over 40 years of experience, the Enterprise Architecture Center of Excellence, or EACOE, and the Business Architecture Center of Excellence, or BACOE, have found that over 75,000 people answer yes to these questions. But with proper architecture producing certification and training, combined with a proven methodology and framework, we can help you do better. Take your skills to the next level, and together we can work to improve the effectiveness of your organization, ensuring your goals are actually met through a partnership with or training from the EACOE or the BACOE. To find out how, visit eacoe.org or bacoe.org for more information.
Thanks for rejoining us. So we defined architecture. Let me repeat that, and then we will look at business architecture and enterprise architecture. So architecture is explicitly representing a desired state and an as-is state, developing from that a set of prioritized aligned initiatives or capabilities needed to meet the organizational goals, communicating this understanding to stakeholders for advancing the organization and its stakeholders from its as-is state to its desired state. Now, let's take a look at the word enterprise in front of that. The main objective of enterprise with the term architecture is to define a baseline for addressing organizational activities and change. It is the domain of possibilities of all of the activities within the enterprise, which may contain businesses, business units, business activities, all of those types of phrases, and to make sure that every part of the organization, referred to as a business within the enterprise itself, can meet its objectives at the same time optimizing the enterprise. What I like to say is enterprise architecture is an inch deep and a mile wide. The same architectural elements are in both business and enterprise architecture. Not one of them is part of the other one. So the objective of enterprise architecture is a baseline for addressing and managing change across the enterprise itself. Inch deep, a mile wide. Let's contrast that with business architecture. Using that same type of phrase, a business architecture is an inch wide and a mile deep. It provides deep domain knowledge for a specific element within the enterprise. And that could be a business unit. It could be a conglomeration of things, of projects and programs and departments. But if you think about an organization, a parent organization, if I can use that phrase, and it doesn't have to be multiple business units, it can be one, multiple departments, multiple activities. A business architecture is designed to optimize that element. The enterprise architecture looks at the optimization across the whole enterprise, and that may mean some tuning or detuning of a specific business objective for a business unit to actually make sure that the enterprise itself is meeting all of its objectives. So in summary, from a standpoint of practicing, the focus of business architecture is the development, not the declaration, the development of the capabilities that the organization needs to achieve its business and mission strategy. An enterprise architecture focus is to ensure the enterprise is optimized as best as it can for the health and welfare of the whole enterprise, taking into account each one of the business elements that are there. And it produces a series of initiatives that are geared toward making sure that the goals of the holistic enterprise are met as quickly, effectively as possible. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for tuning in to Real Talk. Be sure to join your host, Sam Holcman, again for another edition of our program. We'll have more real topics of discussion then.